Dear students, I welcome all of you once again to our revision session of methods of preserving the food material. So let's revise once again whatever we have learnt in the last lecture. So if you remember, in the last lecture we discussed about the ways of preserving the food material which we can do easily at our home. So refrigeration, then drying and boiling, these are the three different ways of the food preservation which can be done very easily, right? So students, let's say for example, if we don't follow these all type of the method of food preservation, then what will happen? So students, for that purpose, we are going to conduct one experiment today. What type of the experiment we are going to conduct? So let's see that over here. So we are going to take a piece of chapati which will be easily available at your home as well, correct? So you don't need to take the whole piece of the chapati. Even you can take the 1/4 part of the chapati and then you can divide it into three different parts. Even that will also work. Okay, so you have to take a piece of chapati and then you have to divide into three different parts. Now you must be thinking what we have to do with these three different pieces. So as you can see that over here in the picture, I have divided the piece of chapati into three parts. So like that you have to do. And one more thing, you have to take one piece of chapati and keep it in the closed box. Means if there is one container or tiffin which is available at your home, then keep that piece of chapati in tiffin box. Okay, and the second piece of the chapati you have to roast on the hot pan. You have to make it crisp and then you have to keep it in the box. So when you roast a piece of chapati, then that time what happens, whatever moisture is present inside that piece of chapati, that will get evaporate very easily and that piece of chapati, that will become very crisp. Okay, and the third piece of the chapati you have to keep it in the fridge. Okay, so in fridge you have to keep the one piece of the chapati, that too in the tiffin, not openly. Okay, so this is what we have to do. And after doing so, you have to observe this piece of chapati for consecutively 3 to 4 days. Keep on observing whether there are certain kind of the changes you will see or not. Okay, so here you can see that over here when you keep it here in the so I have chose such kind of the container for keeping the piece of the chapati. So whatever container is easily available, that can be done, that can be made work for this. So you have to observe that for consecutive 2 or 4 days, and later on observe all the chapati, one which is kept in the refrigerator, one which is kept in like that only in the tiffin box, and the one which is roasted on the hot pan. Okay, so after observation, what has been observed here, a piece of chapati which was roasted on the pan, a piece of chapati which was roasted in the pan, there is no changes at all. So as we kept it in the tiffin box, it is like that only, there is no changes at all, it is same to same as we have kept in the beginning. Okay, so there is no type of the changes. That means what, this food is safe, there is no spoilage occurred over here. Now, so this piece of chapati is very safe, which is very roasted. Then we have observed the piece of chapati which is kept in the fridge. And do you know that the piece of chapati which is kept in the fridge, there is also no changes at all. We haven't seen any type of the changes where we have kept the that chapati into the refrigerator. So that means what we have learnt here. So hot condition is required to preserve the food material, correct? So when the heating is provided to any type of the food material, the microorganisms which are present inside it, they will kill very immediately. And at the same time, as you can see that even the piece of chapati which was kept in the refrigerator, even there is no changes. So that means it is proved that even to preserve the food material, cool condition is required. Now let's see the third piece of chapati which we kept like that only in the tiffin box. Okay, so a piece of chapati which was not roasted, which we haven't kept in the refrigerator, we kept in the closed tiffin box. So after 3 and 4 days, we have seen that, we have observed that when we open that container, there is one pungent smell, there is one bad smell which is coming out. And that bad smell which is coming out, that is just because of the fungus which is grown on the food material. Can you see here in the piece of chapati, there is a green cotton like growth here? Can you see this green cotton like growth? So this green cotton like growth which is observed on the piece of chapati, this is the fungus. So how fungus exactly looks like? The fungus is white, black or greenish fiber like cotton growth. So this is we called as what? Fungus, and even it starts smelling very badly. Understood? So now you must be thinking that how exactly the fungus start growing. So basically let me tell you that the spores of the fungus, they are present everywhere. The spores of the fungus, they are present in the air, they are present in the water, they are present everywhere. But the thing is that this fungus requires air and water for their growth and development. If any type of the microorganism, if they get the air and the water, they can grow very easily on any type of the food material. Okay, and the chapati which we kept in the box, it got the favorable condition. That means what? That chapati got, that fungus got moisture also, it got warmth also, and it got air also. And that's how the piece of chapati, the fungus growth very easily. And this is how the food became spoiled, and such type of the food material we cannot consume at all. Okay, so this is how the fungus is grew on the chapati in the box, as you can see that over here. Okay, so yeah, as you here also you can see that very clearly, green fiber like cotton like growth you can see, and this is how the fungus looks like when we observe it into the microscope. Okay, so students, suppose if we eat all the, you all know that here the microorganisms are present everywhere, even in the water and even in the air also. And if it gets the air and the moisture etc., they will grow very easily in any type of the food material. Even always remember that whenever you buy any type of the closed food material or canned food material, you have to check the expiry date. Otherwise microorganism will be present. And suppose if we consume food material which is spoiled, and suppose if we consume food material whose expiry date has been finished already, okay, so sometime we suffer from the stomachache, sometime we suffer from the diarrhea, sometime we suffer from the vomiting, and even sometime it can cause the death of an individual also. Is that clear? Are you getting my point over here? So that's why we have to avoid eating spoiled food material. Okay, otherwise these are the symptoms we have to suffer if we consume any type of this spoiled food material. So that's why students, to stop the spoilage of the food material, so basically these are the 4 steps which can be done very easily. First is the drying, then cooling, then boiling, and placing the airtight container. Out of that drying, cooling and boiling which we have learned already in the last session, but let's see here once again. So as you can see that papad and grains we dry in the sun. Okay, so why we dry it into the sun? So when we dry any type of the food stuff, the water content is lost. So when water content is lost, that food material is ready to preserve for longer time. So drying is one of the method of food preservation. Okay, afterward the next part, that is nothing but what? Cooling. At our home refrigerator is available, am I right? So there are many things which we keep in the fridge, correct? So in cool condition at low temperature, microorganisms do not grow, because microorganisms require the warm condition. So in cool condition microorganisms do not grow, and if the microorganisms do not grow, our food will be saved from spoilage. Okay, so this is the one of the cooling method here. Then later on boiling, you must have seen that any type of the curry or milk etc., we keep on boiling for longer time. So even when we boil any type of the food material, so it will be preserved for the longer time. And last but not least, to preserve any type of the food material, we have to use the airtight container, so that no air or no water will enter inside the food material. So that's why students, always remember, whenever you go in the grocery shop while purchasing any type of the food material, see to that air and moisture will not go inside. And if the seal is open, if the seal is not proper or packaging is not proper, do not buy those food stuff, because air might went inside and water also might went inside, and food might have spoiled already. Okay, so the airtight packaging is very important to preserve any type of the food material. Is that clear? And at the same time, according with the airtight container, as I told you that this doesn't allow the growth of the microorganism, so that's why the airtight container is very important to preserve any type of the food material. At the same time, we use the preservative as well to stop the spoilage of the food material and to keep it safer from the longer usage. So what are the preservative basically? So any substances which we add to the food material, any substances which we add to the food material to preserve them for longer time, we call them as what? Preservative. So like in pickles, you must have seen that we use a lot of oil, we use a lot of salt also, correct? So this is also one of the type of the preservative, correct? Are you getting my point over here? So even in jam also we use a lot of sugar, a lot of salt. They act as a preservative and they stop the growth of the microorganism. Are you getting my point over here? So you can see that sugar, salt, asafoetida, then hing, that means hing, then mustard, oil, vinegar, they are the example of the food preservative which we are right now using in our day-to-day life. So these are the example of what? Food preservative. Is that clear? And at this at the same time, India is famous for the spices. You all know that variety of the spices are grown in our country, and each variety of the taste of our food, it is only because of the spices, and every spices has a different flavor and the different taste as well. And that's why these spices, they are used in the lesser quantity, but they are used because they have the good property which are very good for our health purpose as well. Okay, so here you know that these spices mostly they are dried and then only they are stored for the longer time, and these spices are usually we preserve into the powder form, and we grind them and we convert into the masala etc, which can be easily used in our curry and vegetable etc. So that's why the spices is also very important component of our food stuff, and which has to be dried well before storing. Is that clear? And that's why these spices are providing us a different type of the flavor to our food material. Is that clear? So students, what we have learnt in this lesson? We have learnt in this lesson that if pickles, jams, papad etc are made in the right season, then they can be enjoyed in the whole year. And usually we do all this in the summer season, right? And what we have learnt else? We have learned that if air, water and warmth are available, the microorganism grow rapidly in the foodstuff, and some microorganism causes the foodstuff to spoil very immediately. Is that clear? And always remember that, as I told you, when you buy any type of the food material, check that the food pack is sealed or the bag is sealed completely, and even the expiry date before using that. Is that clear? So here we completed the revision part of lesson number 13, methods of preserving the food material. I hope so students, now you understood the topic very well. So we'll stop here. Bye bye, take care.